Okay, for this DIY reusable shopping bag, we are going to need a piece of fabric that is 18 inches by 40 inches. And then we will need 2 pieces of fabric that is 4 inches by 18 inches. We'll also need some pins. We'll need a measuring tape. We'll need some elastic and some scissors. And then you want to pick whatever fabric that you want to use for your reusable shopping bag. I am currently filling an order for shopping bags, and this is the material that my friend requested her bags be made out of. And so today we're going to use this as our DIY. Let's cut our fabric. We need an 18-inch by 40-inch piece of fabric. So what we'll do is lay out the fabric on our table, and we're going to measure it to see. We need this piece, this edge, to be 18 inches, this piece. So we're going to measure that and see how long it is. So this is 21.5 inches long. So what I'm going to do is put a pin in this where it is marked 18 inches. I'll put a pin here. There we go. So that's 18 inches. So we'll need to cut it there. And then we need 40 inches length. So we'll measure that from the tip down to 40 inches. Okay, is here. I'll bring you down so you can see. This is 40 inches here. So we're going to place another pin on the 40-inch line so we know where to cut our fabric. Okay? So what I like to do is I like to lay my measuring stick across this. So what I'll do is lay the measuring stick from here across, and we'll make sure we have a good straight line. Okay, so we have our fabric cut here. This is 18 inches wide by 40 inches long, and it is folded over. Like when you go to buy your fabric, it's always folded. So but this is 18 inches by 40 inches. So we'll lay that aside. And now, out of the trimming that we did off of this piece of fabric, we need 2 pieces of fabric that is 4 inches wide by 18 inches long. So this piece of fabric is 4 inches wide, and we need to cut an 18-inch piece. Okay? Okay, here's our first piece. Here's our first piece of 4 by 18. And then we are just going to cut another piece just like that. Now the reason I didn't use the back piece of this, and I'm, undoing these pieces that are doubled and laying those aside is because this is the raw end, I guess you would say. And there's not 4 inches between where that writing is on the edge of the fabric to the other side to have enough fabric for our handles. So that's why I'm not using that. Okay, so we have 2 4 by 18 pieces, 1 piece that is 18 by 40, and now we are ready to cut a piece of elastic. And this elastic is going to be what holds the bag once we sew it together. Once we sew the bag together, to be able to fold up the bag, and this will eventually is a really cool holder. So we'll sew this in at some point during the process of sewing the bag, and then when we're done with the bag, you'll see how this piece of elastic just slips right over the bag and holds it all together. Okay, so let's set up our sewing machine and get started sewing. We'll fold it over one time and iron it. We're going to fold it over one time like this. We're going to iron that. Get a nice flat iron on it. And then we're going to fold the other side the same way, just like that. And we're going to iron it. It just makes it so much easier to sew if you have these things ironed down. And then just fold it over in half. So see what we did? We folded one end over, this side over, and now we're going to fold the whole thing in half. Fold this whole thing in half. And now we're going to press that down. And this becomes one of our handles for our reusable bag. I probably should have something on the table instead of ironing right on it, but this is my craft table, so I'm really not that worried about it. But this becomes one of our handles. So we'll set that aside, and we're going to do the same thing to this piece. Okay, so we have our handles that we ironed. This raw edge here that we ironed, you can see how it's folded once and then it's folded again. This edge, I'm going to run a stitch down the whole length of that edge on both of the handles. So here we go. When you get to the end of the fabric, you'll want to backstitch a couple of stitches, 2 or 3 stitches, just to keep it real good and sturdy. here's our stitch. And now what we're going to do is we are going to do the same thing on the opposite side, and we're going to do the same stitching all the way down on this side of the handle. You don't have to do that, but it just looks more finished if you do. So trim up these, and then we're going to do the same thing on the other side. And remember to back stitch a couple of stitches on the handle. Okay, and there we have it. Both sides of the handle are stitched. They look really good, and it looks finished when you do that. And remember, when you're sewing and you put your fabric underneath the pressure foot, that the only thing that you're doing with your hands is guiding the fabric. You're not pushing it, you're not pulling it, you're just literally holding the fabric and guiding it to sew. Okay, so I'm going to get the second handle sewn. Okay, so we have our handle sewn, and now we're going to work on sewing the bag. So we're going to leave this side here that is the folded crease to use as the bottom of our bag. And then on these sides, on the two length sides, we're going to sew those together on both sides, and then we'll install the handles. So let's get this sewn. I did go back a little bit further, probably about 7 or 8 stitches, because I really want the sides of the bag to be real good and sturdy. I love this new sewing machine. Mark got it for me. I was having a lot of problems with my Singer sewing machine, and he picked me up this sewing machine, which I absolutely love. It also embroiders and quilts, and so I'm excited to learn all about it and try to figure out putting one of our grandkids' names on a blanket that I'm making. Okay, so we have this sewn. Hopefully you can see that because the fabric is kind of busy. So we're going to sew down the other length, and you might see this, the edge But that isn't going to matter because when we turn the edge down, we're going to turn it down twice and then sew in the handles. You'll not be able to see that, so I'm not going to trim that off. So let's get the other edge sewed. And remember, your hands are only a guide for the fabric. You're not trying to push, you're not trying to pull. Your hands are just guiding the fabric underneath to sew it. On this sewing machine, when you back stitch, there's a button here for back stitching. Right, I don't know if you can see. Yeah, right here. This is the back stitching button. So one press gets you one stitch. If you hold it down, it'll back stitch until you take your finger off of it. Okay, so we have both of our sides done. We sewed both the sides. So now we need to go back to the iron, because what we're going to do is take the bag and turn it one time, fold it one time, and then fold it over one more time like this, and then press this down so we have a nice even piece. We're going to press that down, and then we're going to start putting our handles in the fold. So it's real simple. It's real easy to do. Okay, so just so you see this, what we're going to do is fold this over. Going to fold it over all the way down so it looks like this. Just fold it over and then fold it one more time the same way, just about maybe 2 inches. Let's measure it and see exactly what it is. Yeah, it's about 1.5 inches. The fold is about 1.5 inches. And that's a good size fold. So we have it all folded, all the way down. Actually, it's double folded. So what we're going to do is press this again. So we want it to be nice and pressed so that it sews easy and it looks nice and finished. And we'll turn it over. We're going to press it again on the other side. Just make sure our fold's up under there really good. And we're going to press again. Okay. So see, here we go. These are so easy to make. Okay, now let's go back over to our machine and add our handles. Okay, so we have our handles that we ironed. This raw edge here that we ironed, you can see how it's folded once and then it's folded again. This edge, I'm going to run a stitch down the whole length of that edge on both of the handles. So here we go. get to the end of the fabric, you'll want to backstitch a couple of stitches, 2 or 3 stitches, just to keep it real good and sturdy. And here's our stitch. And now what is going to need to be tacked down, so we make sure that we get it in the right place. So this bag is 18 inches wide. It's 18 inches wide. So we know that half of that is 9 inches. So that's about here. So we're going to do half of 9 inches and place our handle there, which is going to be 4.5. So you lift up this edge and take your handle and tuck it all the way to the top. Like all the way in, as far as you can get it in on that side, and put in a pin. And be sure you don't go through to the other side of the fabric. And then we're going to do the same thing over here. We're going to measure 4.5 inches. And take our, this is where you might get twisted up, is this handle. So the handle just lays down flat like this, and then curves around and comes to here, just like that. It should lay just like that. And then you're going to put another pin in here. And then turn your fabric over. Make sure your handle is up so you can see. That way you don't have to use the measuring tape again to try to figure out where to put your handles. You just lay that up and you know exactly where to put it. So we know this one goes here, and tuck it in as far as it will tuck. Pin it down. Make sure your handle's not twisted. Lift that up, tuck it in, and put in your pin. Okay? Here I will run a stitch all the way down the top and the bottom of our fold. Okay, this extra piece of my machine comes off, so I'm going to just slide that off and set it to the side. So we have a nice small piece to sew our bag around. See how we have this piece sewn, and now we're going to attach this to the top. This is honestly probably not the best fabric to do a tutorial on because it's so busy. The fabric is so busy. But I'm filling an order for a friend that ordered these bags, and so I wanted to make sure that I did a video on how to make them while I was making these, and this is the only print that she requested, so I probably will do another video when I'm using a different color of fabric, or one without a pattern or something like that, so that you'll be able to see it a lot better. All right, we're going to get this last little stitching done. On the handles, I just like to do the whole thing back stitched because I want it to be as strong as it can be for, you know, holding your shopping stuff. Okay. So take your bag, put your hands inside your bag, and just turn it right side out. And there is your shopping bag. It's a nice big size. It's a good size for carrying all your groceries. And now I'll show you how the elastic works. So fold your handles in. Honestly, you can do this any way you want to do it. It really doesn't matter where you put that, or it doesn't matter where you sew that in or how you get the end result of folding your bag. But what I do is fold the handles in and then start at the bottom and start folding up this way. And then just fold your bag over and over. And then just take your elastic and elastic around it. And there you have your shopping bag. Easy peasy. And I will do another tutorial or another DIY on some fabric that's not printed, so you'll be able to see. I'll do one on fabric that's not printed and use colored thread, so you'll be able to see exactly how it works. But this is really easy, and I really encourage you to make these bags and throw them in your purse or throw them in your car. What we plan to do with these bags is, well, this one, of course, is for an order that I'm making for a friend. But what we plan to do, I have a bunch of these already made. And at Christmas, I'm going to be putting several of the kids' Christmas items inside these bags and using them as gift bags for them for Christmas. So I hope you enjoyed this DIY reusable shopping bag. You can just throw this in the wash and keep using it over and over and over again. And I really do hope that you guys make these. Thank you for stopping by our channel for the 12 days of Christmas. Hope to see you back here tomorrow for another fun DIY.